Test. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Let me check this one too. Yeah. Can you see the levels in this one? Test. 1 2 3. Testing. Testing. 1 2 3. Testing. Test. 1 2 3. Testing.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Dumpke Field on the campus of Westminster College for today's game between the Johnson & Wales Wildcats and your Westminster Griffins. At this time, we ask that you please rise for the playing of our national anthem. And now, let's meet today's starting lineups. First, for the visiting Wildcats. Number 4, John Sebastian Vila. Number 5, Wiley Cates. Number 6, DeShante Longley. Number 11, Isaiah Granger. Number 13, Jordan Livingston. Number 20, Colton Brelkeld. Number 24, Jonathan McCord. Number 27, Robert Wanzer. Number 28, Casey Kerrigan. And number 49, Sean Hosinger. And the head coach of the Wildcats is Kurt Olin. And now let's meet the starters for your Westminster Griffins. Number 3, Thomas Sargent. Number 7, Alex Dooley. Number 8, Colton Atkinson. Number 9, Sean Edwards. Number 14, Will Dutton. Number 16, Harrison Nye. Number 24, Hobie Teets. Number 31, Ian Nadell. Number 35, Jackson Zerba. And number 45, Colt Bartnicki. And the head coach of the Griffins is Nathan Goodhand.
Westminster Athletics welcomes all players, officials, and spectators to Dumpke Field for today's contest. The Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference is committed to sportsmanship. We take pride in the conduct of our student athletes and coaches and ask that everyone, coaches, athletes, and spectators, treat boys and officials with respect. We encourage you to cheer for your favorite team during today's competition. At the same time, please demonstrate the respect you would like to be shown
It's sitting kind of day. Sitting kind of day. Welcome back to Dumpke Field, home of the Westminster Griffins, as today they welcome in the Wildcats from Johnson & Wales, Denver, as Johnson & Wales was in town during basketball season when they had a couple nights stay here in Salt Lake City, and now their men's lacrosse team's here for today's action to take on your Westminster Griffins live on the RMAC Network. Thank you guys for stopping by and tuning in from east to west, north to south, to making us a part of your day on a beautiful sunny day in Salt Lake City, Utah, on the campus of Westminster College. We bring you guys today's action where Westminster is coming off a losing streak of 3 straight road games where they fell to Lynn University 9-14, Roland College 8-10, and Colorado Mesa 12-13. And last night they did fall to the University of Utah as well, so they're on a 4-game losing skid entering today's action in their first home game since March 10th, where they defeated Maryville University, as the Griffins get on the board first with an early 1-0 goal with 14:19 on the clock. Jackson Zerba gets the first goal, number 35, the freshman from Bellingham, Washington. And the Griffins are on top. Again, Johnson & Wales, they're coming a little bit banged up, as not their only 10 players made the trip, as it's a young team from Johnson & Wales entering Dumpke Field, as the face-off is going to be won by the Wildcats as they lose it for a moment. There's a scrum in the middle of the field now. Still no one can't come away with it until finally the Griffins see Hobart Teets pick this one up, as the ball is back in possession of Thomas Sargent. Sargent will toss it up to his teammate, and Brad Belasco. Belasco swings it over to the right side, caught by Flinders. That's Cole Flinders, one of the twin brothers on this team from Park City. Back up top, Fisher. Bridger Fisher nearly fired it away before passing it over to his teammate, number 44, Blake Gross, from way downtown, fires for the second goal today on Dumpke Field, as again, it's a young team, and Johnson & Wales, with only 10 players on the field today, it's going to be an uphill battle just for that part alone. As another face-off won by Westminster, as well, a lot of people up here, we do always get confused for the PA system up here in the broadcast booth, and it's totally normal because we're up here in the stands where the fans see us, and all the time we get yelled at for a lot of things that get said over the PA, but we're glad to be up here with the fans, as always, in a kind of a bit of an upgrade we've got up here in the broadcast booth as well. It's not as shady, and it's a little bit more open, not as crowded as it used to be in the past, so great job by everyone involved here at Westminster to make us all warm and cozy, I think is the right way to put it. As again, the Griffins are on top 2-0 in today's action. Live in the RMAC Network. Again, thank you guys for stopping by and tuning in with me, David Vito, on the broadcast here for men's lacrosse. As it's Easter Eve, as tomorrow everyone will be celebrating Easter all around. We hope you and your family are having a great little Easter weekend and enjoying the sunshine of today in Salt Lake City. And of course, wherever you may be listening to us and watching us from, we hope that you're having a great Easter weekend as well and enjoying the weather you're having. And again, we've had so many different kinds of up and down weather from the Wasatch Front, as the shot will be fired and scored by Westminster. It's going to be Brad Velasco with the goal there. Third goal in the first 4 minutes of action.
Griffin goal by number 5, Brad Velasco.
As the Griffins are coming out firing quickly. As, again, the first home game since March 10th. Only the 4th home game overall for Westminster. They lost to Rockhurst and University of Tampa in their first 2 home games, and then were able to cap off their first win at home of the season against Maryville University in a 10-2 victory. Wildcats are entering 0-6 this season. As for the Westminster Griffins, entering 3-5 and 0-2 in the RMAC standings as they are chasing CSU Pueblo, Rockhurst, and Colorado Mesa. Colorado Mesa is the top dog right now, but only 1-0 in conference play. Rockhurst 5-1, 11-1 overall. CSU Pueblo 1-2, just ahead of Westminster in the standings. And again, the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference and Westminster College is committed to good sportsmanship. We ask everyone in attendance, and that includes the coaches, athletes on the field with the officials, always to respect them, as the officials have a hard enough time making calls as they got players and coaches yelling at them all game long. Obviously spectators will be yelling too. It's just part of the game, and a shot fired and scored by Westminster again. That one's going to hit the back of the net after a bouncing ground ball. Is going to go to Colton Atkinson from Park City, as he's a junior on this team.
Griffin goal by number 8, Colton Atkinson.
As if you guys are wondering, the live stats are still being updated. We do apologize for that, as they'll be up as soon as we can get things rolling. So if you guys are looking for live stats, just stick it with us right here on the network, and we'll give you play-by-play stats as the Griffins have their 4th different goal scorer. 4-0 again there. Since this Johnson and Wells team is kind of banged up and that their full team made the trip here, they've requested, both teams have requested that they'll be running clock for the whole game today. So we'll get 15-minute quarters for 4 quarters and let this clock just run, whether there's a goal or not. As again, Johnson and Wells, I think they understand the situation they're in, and Westminster understands where Johnson and Wells has entering. As is behind the net again for Westminster, leading 4-0. Ball's tossed over to the left side, caught. Back up top for Westminster. Westminster just kind of moving the ball around, side to side, looking for their opportunity. Flinders fires from deep, he gets blocked. Great defense by Johnson and Wells. Westminster now has it on the left side. Fisher swings it back, looking for a cutter. Shot will be fired and scored. That was a great pass by Westminster, and a better finish cutting through the gap. As you see the assist, Lane Kadish gets the assist, and Atkinson gets back-to-back goals for Westminster here on Dumpke Field. As with that 5th goal being fired, we'll get a quick timeout live in the RMAC Network. We'll be back. Griffins on top, 5-0 here from Salt Lake City, Utah. So we're back here on the RMAC Network. Griffins on top, 5-0. 7:53 left to play in quarter number 1. As a face-off, battled picked up by Westminster. Chance Butler, who's a shot fires, and that was a hard shot that hit the post, top of the goal keep. Johnson Wells recovers it. They're going the other way. They lose it in the air for a moment, pick back up. That is Cole Theckens, the leading scorer with 5 goals entering today's game for the Wildcats. He's in a scrum, loses it now. As it's battling back and forth, finally picked up by Westminster's Eli Gaunt. He's going full speed the other way. Pass up top, shot will be fired from deep, and that was going to go way over the goalkeeper's area. As that was Bridger Fisher fired that shot. As the Griffins get it back to Fisher, back to Butler. Butler swings over to the right side. Looking to get a goal here is Zerba. Got his first goal as he'll get the assist this time to Gage Fisher.
Goal for the Griffins by number 29, Gage Fisher.
Gage Fisher's first goal of the season. As they see their lead extend to 6-0 with 6 minutes and counting. Johnson & Wells, they have played all road games this season at University of Dallas, at Southwestern, at Columbia College, at Rockhurst, and at Adams State. In those 5 games, it's been a tough outing to get offense moving for them, as the most goals they've scored this year is 4 in a game, where it was 4-18 against University of Dallas, and it just went backwards the other 4 games, and against a young team just trying to get their feet wet and get into the lacrosse program built the correct way. It takes time, it takes years to build a successful program, and this is the way you have to do it. You have to go through growing pains. Johnson Wells, again, not a lot of players on this team, but it's from the movie Field of Dreams. You know, you build it, they'll come. As trying to build the program any way they can here for Johnson & Wells. And again, their leading scorer, Colton Theckild, with 5 goals this season and 5 points. He has 15 shots so far. He's 7 for 16 on the face-off draw. Westminster has possession again, leading 6-0. Ball's back behind the cage, caught by number 14, Will Dutton. Dutton now swings it back up top. Swinging around the post, trying to get someone cutting through the middle. Westminster just letting their offense get set in. Shot fired from deep, and that one's going to bounce off a few different players of the Wildcats and just miss. And a goal will hit the back of the net for Westminster. That was a great defensive stop for a moment as the Wildcats got a piece of the ball, but just a ricocheted back into Westminster's possession,
number 44, Blake Gross.
where Blake Gross fired and scored once again today for Westminster. That's just an unlucky bounce for the Wildcats. Again, the goalkeeper for the Wildcats, number 5, Willie Cates, the freshman. Getting some. This is good experience you want to have, though, when you're a young player like Cates in the goal. You want to get this experience because it's only going to make you better as you get older and older. Being a freshman starting goalkeeper in college lacrosse, something to be proud of. Westminster wins yet another face-off, shot fired, and that was going to go to the left side this time, and another goal for Westminster. Willie Cates has played in all 6 games now entering today's game, as he's got 79 saves this season on a percentage of .432. As 4 minutes has gone by, Westminster will take a timeout after that last goal. 4:02 left to play on Dumpke Field. We're live in the RMAC Network. We'll be back right after this timeout from Salt Lake City. face-off won by Westminster. They're going to go all the way to the other side. As it's in the net of Sean Edwards, the goalkeeper, sophomore from Riverton, Utah, played and went to school at Juan Diego. The Griffins are on top, 8-0 here. First quarter of play on Dumpke Field. We're live in the RMAC Network. Thank you guys for stopping by and tuning in with us. As hopefully, we've had a couple technical problems in the past, but we've got a lot of them fixed. So thank you guys for bearing with us during the transition of a new broadcast system that we've been putting in here to make it a more enjoyable broadcast for everyone that tunes in here in the RMAC Network. And we're thankful for those of you that are consistent watchers of all athletics here at Westminster College. It's a school that's coming off their probation next year as they transitioned into the RMAC just a few years back, as now all teams will be eligible for postseason play and postseason championships. So it's going to be good for the teams that have been waiting. Obviously, lacrosse didn't have to wait in that transition, as they've been in the championship game the last couple years. Colorado Mesa is the top dog of this division, or conference, I should say. As the Griffins will fire this one from deep, and that one's going to hit nothing as it goes back and hits the sign that says Dumpke Field. I mean, it's a great crowd on hand here today, too, on Dumpke Field. Everyone's here enjoying a beautiful day. Again, it's Easter weekend. Holidays are in town. Families in town. As a turnover nearly picked up by the Wildcats of Johnson and Wells. Fisher swinging it around for Westminster. Looking for someone to cut through. Couldn't get to Flinders until now, who's outside of the crease. Back into the net of Westminster's attackers up top. And great defense by Johnson and Wells. They come away with nearly a turnover. That was number 4, Sebastian Vila, who nearly had a pickup steal for the Wildcats. Westminster swings it around once again. Now it's behind the cage. Fisher's got this one. Sees a shot fired from deep, and that one's going to be off the back of a defender of the Wildcats again. Just good defense, just bad bounce for the Wildcats. Griffins continue to move it around. Shot won't be fired. Is back behind the net once again into the net of Fisher. Gage Fisher, that is. Griffins see 1 minute and change on the clock here in quarter number 1. Flinders got this one. Back behind the cage again. Griffins just relaxing with Colton Atkinson, who leads the way with 2 goals for Westminster. As another one will hit the back of the net for the Griffins.
Goal for the Griffins by number 5, Brad Velasco.
And that'll give him his second goal of today's action. Brad Velasco, that is, number 5. Midfielder, sophomore from Poway, California. Makes his way down here to Salt Lake. It's a bit of a culture change, I think, at times when you're being recruited to come somewhere outside of your hometown. Luckily for Westminster, they get a lot of players that are locally here from state. As just going down the roster, you get a lot of Park City kids, Riverton kids. Obviously, Salt Lake City is a big one because it's so close to downtown, where a lot of kids have gone to Olympus High, Skyline High. A lot of get recruited here, and obviously a lot of Park City High School kids make their transition here to Westminster College. As the first quarter will come to a close, the Griffins will put 9 points on the board against the young Wildcats of Johnson and Wells. We'll take a quick timeout, be back for second quarter action as we're live on the RMAC Network. Back here, second quarter of action. Griffins on top, 9-0 here on Dumpke Field. The face-off won by Westminster. Now we switch sides. Griffins go in the opposite direction as the teams just, that's the only thing they switched so far. As again, we're still on a running clock here. So we play 4 15-minute quarters here in men's lacrosse, I should say. As the women's team just played earlier today, got a victory. As the women's team's having a good, successful season so far. I mean, they took Regis to the brink the other night here on the RMAC network. And Westminster, they're just looking to stay in the thick of the race in the RMAC as a goal scored by Westminster's number 35 and Jackson Zebra, his second goal of today.
Goal by number 35, Jackson Zerba.
So 2 goals for him today. 3 players now have 2 goals in today's action. 4 with 1. Colton Atkinson with 2. Brad Blasco with 2. And now Jackson Zerba. As a face-off won by Johnson and Wells, picking it up and going down, no whistle blown, as that's not a good sign if you're a Wildcat fan. So I believe that was Joshua Williams, who's shaken up right now. Officials looking over to him, making sure he's okay. So keep an eye on that as the action's back on the other side of the field. Marcy making a move, going to the left side. As a cutter coming through, fakes one way, bounces shot, can't get in, a little bit too fancy there from Chance Butler. Just misses an opportunity to get a goal for Westminster and himself on the stat sheet. And another Marcy tried to go backhanded goal, missed everything, and Johnson and Wells will pick it up. Correction, that was a Deshante Longley, who was hurt, number 6 for Johnson Wells. Looks to be shaken up a little bit, kind of holding his hip as he got kind of knocked down, as an opportunity just sails over the head of number 24, Jonathan McCord for Johnson and Wells. As a turnover going Westminster's favor. As again, Sean Edwards comes and picks it up out of his own goal, tosses it up, makes a skipping bounce pass that doesn't go into the net of Butler, and another turnover for Westminster. As picking it up, Casey Kerrigan for Johnson and Wells. Kind of got bumped off track, and it goes right through. Shot will be fired and just misses wide. Kind of a Griffins playing defense there, trying to bump him off track. Didn't bother him at all, as he still found a way to get through the gap and fire one away. The turnover goes back to the Griffins' possession. Good take by Johnson and Wells. Griffins now turn it over once more, as the second quarter has been all Johnson and Wells. As the penalty goes up in the air, that's going to be against Westminster. Number 35 will go to the sideline. That's Zerba. Johnson and Wells will be on the man-up possession. Again, a good solid crowd all around. The wind starting to pick up a little bit, not too bad. Johnson and Wells will take control of this opportunity they've received. Trying to shake off, that's McCord. Swings it back to the middle. It's caught by number 4, Jean Sebastian Villa. As that one tried to get to the teammate behind the net, couldn't find a way to get it to Longley. That turnover goes against the Wildcats. Again, beautiful scenery here at Westminster College, as you can see on the broadcast. As mountains are starting to clear up, take some snow off the top of them, as spring is here. As been nothing but wonderful weather the past couple days. It's been perfect weather for an Easter weekend. Westminster gets back behind. Gage is caught by Marcy. Marcy gets it up, caught by his teammate in Gaunt. The shot fired from deep. That one's going to hit the bottom of the net. That's going to be a goal scored by number 35 once again.
Goal for the Griffins by number 35, Jackson Zerba.
Zerba gets his third goal of today. As we're under 10 minutes to play here on Dumke Field. Of course, other news and notes around the sporting world. Today is the Final Four. And how about the women's Final Four last night where UConn back-to-back years can't make it to the championship game? As a buzzer beater in overtime in back-to-back years has dethroned the unbeaten regular season UConn Huskies. And of course the men's Final Four resumes tonight as Loyola is a team that everyone's talking about as a goal will be scored once again here by Marcy for Westminster. Of course, Sister Jean's the talk of the town of the Final Four teams. As you've seen her media day compared to
number 4, Nick Marcy.
her team, her school's players' media day is very, very drastically different. As Sister Jean is a very powerful celebrity right now in the Final Four run, and she is the Cinderella of the tournament. Face off with 8:20 left to play. One's going to be picked up by Westminster. Face off one by Ian Netto, who keeps possession, swings it over to the right side of the court not the court, as we always talk about basketball a lot down here in Salt Lake City with so many great basketball teams we had here. But on the field of action here at the Dumke Field, that is, ball's bouncing around on the turf every left and right. Looking for someone to cut through. Can't get the goal in. Great defense by the Wildcats. Wildcats come away with a save. Nothing hits the back of the net there. Trying to get speed across. Gets bumped off track and lost his stick out of bounds. And that's Casey Kerrigan, the midfielder, the sophomore from Littleton, Colorado. Just lost his stick, tried it any way to keep that ball in play, and that's one way to do it. Just throw your stick down before you go out of bounds. Trying to get tricky here on Dumke Field. Shot fired, and it's going to hit the back of the net for another goal for Westminster. That's going to be Colton Atkinson, his his third goal of the game. As the lead will go up to 13-0. Again, Westminster, they're coming off a loss last night downtown against the University of Utah. Fell at Colorado Mesa 12-13 in a classic showdown. Mesa ranked 16th. 12-13 was the final score on March 24th. Also fell at Rollins 8-10. Lynn 9-14, as that's how the 4-game road trip began. And then they got their last win was right here in Dumke Field against Maryville. Fell to University of Tampa, who's ranked third in the nation 9-19. And then their first 2 wins of the year came against Notre Dame, Daymore 22-7, and Whitner 17-4 in their first 2 road game tournament. That was back in February, as we're nearing April 1st. Shot fired from deep, and that one's going to go way wide. Entering today's action, Lane Cage leads the way with 18 goals for Westminster, 12 assists and 30 points. Nick Marcy, 16 goals, 9 assists, 25 points. This is all entering today's action. And Thomas Sargent, the senior, 13 goals, 9 assists, 22 points. As you see Gage Fisher strike again for his second time today for Westminster. As Gage Fisher, this is his 3rd game he's playing in this season. In those 2 games, he did have 1 shot on goal. Face off one by Westminster again. Going with speed to the left side. Griffins can't find a way to hang on to it as that one fell out of the net of Gage Fisher, who swings back behind the cage. Griffins reset their offense. Back up top. Now back behind the cage once again for Westminster in the hands of Sargent. Sargent back up top. Shot won't be fired by Fisher. And this time a shot will go wide once again. This time it goes in the net of Sargent. Sargent picks it back up, goes back behind it. Just looking for anybody to cut through the middle is Westminster. It's a bit of a quieter game in the crowd, but I mean, they're just enjoying the action, watching their sons, nephews, grandsons, brothers, all in action on the field today for both teams. As a turnover by Westminster with 4 minutes gives the ball to the Wildcats. Against Griffins are 0-2 in conference play this year, 3-3 against non-conference foes. And they are 2-3 at home this season. Looking to get their third win today. Again, it's a nice day. The wind's starting to trickle back and forth, but that's not a problem. Just a beautiful day. Turnover by the Wildcats goes into the net of Westminster's Teats. That's a shot fired. That was going to be saved up in the air. Great defense by the Wildcats. And that's a turnover off the rebound. Wildcats trying to pick it up and control, and they do. Pick it up, but that was a great job by Gene. Sebastian Villa gets it over to the middle of the field. Johnson and Wells getting bumped off track everywhere he goes. Great job by Wanzer, I believe, who just lost that one going towards the middle. Back in possession of Sargent for Westminster on the right side of your screen. Now back behind the cage to Fisher. Gage Fisher tosses it back to Sarge. Sarge gets it backed up. A shot will be fired and hit the back of the net, and it's going to be a goal by Eli Gantz, the freshman from West Lynn, Oregon.
Griffin goal by number 43, Eli Gantz.
So again, 2 minutes and change on the clock. And tough game for the Wildcats. But again, it's called growing pains. It really is. You build a program like going through stuff like this. You're not going to wake up one day and have one of the top programs in whatever sport it is. You got to learn how to beat adversity like these type of games that they've been in all year long. This is the kind of year it is for the Wildcats. And again, it's going to take some time to build something special, but you do want to be a part of this, especially the freshmen that are part of this Wildcats team, as Griffins will get possession. As again, the head coach for the Wildcats, Kurt Olin, assistant coach Peter Soon Thorpoppen, and volunteer assistant coach Greg Pierce. As for Westminster, head coach Mason Goodhand, been here for a long time. Assistant coaches Joe Curran and Reed Goodhue, I should say, I apologize, with 1:15 left to play. Griffins trying to add another point right here in the final minute of action. As 1 minute now, 60 seconds left to play in half number one. Griffins can't get anything going there. Turnover on the play picked up by the Wildcats. Robert Wanzer has got this one for the Wildcats as he sees 45 seconds on the shot clock. Coming up to play some tough defense is Lane Cages for Westminster. Ball gets tossed over to Vila. Vila trying to get by the Griffins defense near the halfway point. And that one's going to be fired, and it can't be handled by Westminster until finally it takes a hop and a skip into the net of Noah Robertson as the Griffins go the other way with 20 seconds on the clock. As 15 in the final first half of action here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Griffins looking for something here. As the final 5 seconds are getting ready to tick off right here. Cages with possession, looking for someone to cut through, can't do it. 3, 2, one, and no shot will be fired, as that's how we'll end half number one. Griffins are on top 15-0 as the Wildcats playing tough here in the first half. We'll take a quick timeout. Halftime's here as we're live in the RMAC Network. Griffins having a successful time here on Dumke Field. Second half action back here on Dumke Field. Griffins leading 15-0 in this tough game for the visitors of Johnson & Wales Denver and the Wildcats. Back behind the games, the Griffins just trying their best to continue running the offense in their favor. Again, it's a preseason game. This game does not go on the conference schedule with Johnson & Wales still a young team trying to find their way into the lacrosse scene. So again, Fisher swings it back around. Again, we opening day here, the Griffins did lose one of their key players. And to start off the year, that was not the best way for the Griffins to start the season. Obviously, we haven't seen Troy Vance today. So again, you're going to see a lot of younger players for Westminster step in here in the second half of action that hasn't played a lot this season to be able to get some college lacrosse minutes that are going to be very valuable as their careers evolve here at Westminster. Swung around to the right side for Westminster. It's Cadish who hangs on to it. Cadish looking for someone to cut through the middle. Can't do it. They'll swing it back up top to your screen. Nadel's got this one. He's trying to get it back behind the cage, and he does cleanly. Back to Cadish. Cadish just behind the cage. Now he finds his way in the open area, looking for someone in the middle. Great defense by the Wildcats, who did make a goalie switch at halftime. As you'll see, number 20, their leading scorer, Colton Threlked is the goalie now for the Wildcats. Cage has still got it back, as again, running clock here for today's game in action. And we're happy to have you guys aboard on the RMAC Network, live from Salt Lake City, Utah, on the campus of Westminster College. Bouncing around, can the Griffins find a way to pick it up? They do with Fisher. That's Gage Fisher, the freshman from Olympus High. As again, I think the coaches are getting a little bit fed up with no shot clock. As you heard them yelling, start the clock, as there was no shot clock to start half number 2 on the field. Again, Colton Atkinson with 4 goals. Jackson Zerba with 3. Brad Velasco with 2 and Gage Fisher with 2 are your leaders for Westminster in half number 1. As the Wildcats will pick it up off a turnover by Westminster. Longley's got this one. He'll hang on to it, coming back out a little bit, trying to see if they can get the Wildcats on the board here in half number 2. It's caught by the former goalkeeper and Willie Cates, who's now on the attacking end for the Wildcats. Cates loses it though, as Alex Dooley, the defender, senior, picks it up. Again, Westminster just trying to find a way to run their offense smoothly. And half number 2, don't make as many mistakes. This is a team that has had some problems turning the ball over. 126 turnovers this season entering tonight's game. And of course, face-offs hasn't been the best for Westminster, under 300% this season, as they've only won 61 face-offs. It's not going to win a lot of games for Westminster. They got to find a way to fix that as the season will roll on, as again, we'll be back here Friday for conference action as Adams State comes into town, and then we'll be back here Sunday for a noon face-off with CSU Pueblo taking on your Westminster Griffins. And then following that one, they will play back-to-back Thursday, Saturday nights with Rockwell and Rockhurst. So Griffin season is winding down here in the RMAC. It's been a fun season. Still a couple more games to play here at home on Dumke Field. And again, we're so close to downtown Salt Lake City, where the Utah Jazz are battling for a playoff spot as well. in that wild Western Conference. And of course, the University of Utah men's basketball fell into Penn State in the NIT championship. A lot of people thought the Utes were snubbed of an NCAA selection, but as you've seen, the Pac-12 not have one team advance in the first round of March Madness. It's there's plenty of reasons why the Utes probably didn't make it. I mean, that conference was very, very weak this year in college basketball, a lot of people would say. As again, the Westminster men's lacrosse team was down there last night and fell to the Utes. Has a lot of good teams here in the state. Obviously, has a great save by the Wildcats goalkeeper to not allow anything to get by him this time. But then a bad toss out of play turns it over back into possession for Westminster. Of course, baseball's back here too. As opening day, a lot of people were talking about the Miami Marlins being a very terrible team in the Major League, as they found a way to beat the Chicago Cubs last night. And the era of Derek Jeter has begun. A lot of fans of Miami have not been pleased with what the Marlins have done. As a nearly shot would be fired by Westminster and hit the back of the net for Nato. The freshman from Westland will strike for Westminster for the 17th time today.
Griffin goal by number 31, Ian Nadell.
As again, the freshman found a way to get there. Obviously, another player for Westminster that we haven't seen much of today is Philip Cannell, but we'll talk more about this roster with 7:40 left to play. As we're live on the RMAC Network, we'll take a quick timeout as the teams will head to their bench with the Griffins on top, 17-0. Timeouts in the book, 7:40 left to play here. Half number 2, third quarter of action. Griffins win yet another face-off here in the quarter. As again, it's soccer and lacrosse, spring sports. Just getting down to the final few games. As after this, the Griffins will travel for 4 straight road games actually before returning back home on the RMAC Network with us on April 20th. CSU Pueblo, Adams State, and Colorado Mesa will come in to end the 2018 season at the end of next month. So we'll have some time off for the men's lacrosse side. As the 18th goal does hit the back of the net for the Griffins. And again, it's a lot of people here in the crowd today for Westminster, enjoying the weather and just I think they're understanding that this Johnson and Wells team is very young and just doing their best every time they're out here in the field. I think everyone can't discredit them for saying they are not trying hard, because it's a team that's still playing with a lot of heart out there on this field. And I believe one player that's here traveled with the team is hurt for Wildcats. So now we're 6 minutes left to play. In quarter number 3, the Griffins, again, just trying to fire away. That'll be no penalty there as Westminster. You saw them take a tumble with Daniel Lear. No penalty was blown, as again the referees are been kind of not letting them play, just understand the situation of both teams. And it hasn't been dirty by either team, so both teams are doing a good job on the field today. And Griffin's kind of running back the clock here, taking some more time off as they run their offense with Thomas Sargent. Sargent nearly loses that good defense by the Wildcats. Back behind the cage. And again, the Griffins reset back up top. Looking for Sarge to cut through the middle. There's a shot will be fired from way deep. Won't hit nothing at all. That was again Daniel Lear. Missed everything on that shot attempt. As he'll take a break now after a shot goes way wide. Griffins maintain possession though. Again, under 5 minutes left to play. Griffins behind the cage. Atkinson with possession. Has a shot open, fired, and scored. Nick Marcy, the sophomore, strikes for Westminster.
Good goal by number 4, Nick Marcy.
So again, Johnson Wells, before coming here to Utah, was at the University of Dallas back on February 28th. Then they went to Southwestern, Columbia College, Rockhurst, and at Adams State before traveling here to Utah. It's been a tough sled for this Johnson and Wells team. Again, Griffins played them in basketball, and the Griffins saw it not as bad, but similar, smaller team. As again, the score is 19-0, so we apologize for what you see on the screen. The Griffins are on top 19 as we get that fixed ASAP. As final 3 minutes of action here on Dumpke Field. In Johnson Wells, they have possession, trying to get a shot here on goal. And that's a good pass, and Johnson and Wells has an opportunity. So hang tight. Johnson Wells still in the attacking zone against Westminster right here. Can they get a shot on goal? And just the athleticism for Westminster comes away with the steal from Gaunt. Gaunt's going right up the gut, has an opening shot fired, fakes one way, hits top shelf for a goal for Westminster. Lane Kadish, the freshman, strikes again. As clock will now tick near 2 minutes left. And of course, if you're a baseball fan, you know Ichiro, he's robbing home runs still at the age of 44. As he robbed one today in today's action. Ichiro, the 44-year-old Seattle Mariner, back where it all began. It's a great story. And some of these athletes are playing longer than we've ever seen in history. I mean, LeBron James is probably having the best season of his career in his 15th year in the NBA. It's just unreal to see that. He broke a record of Michael Jordan's last night, as Johnson and Wells won a faceoff and trying to strike here once again. And the turnover goes to Westminster with 1:15 left to play. Again, got a whole 15 minutes left to play action. After this, make sure you guys stick with us live for the remaining 15 minutes of play here on Dumpke Field as the Westminster Griffins are taking on the Wildcats from Johnson and Wells. As now we're 1 minute left to play in the third quarter. Again, this is it's hard to. It really is hard to build a program with no matter what sport you want to do. And we've talked about it all broadcast long that growing pains are not fun and they're miserable and it's something you don't want to do. You just want to jump in and be as tall as you can be. But in reality, it doesn't work like that. So Johnson Wells, this is it's a young program and get some more talent and more athletes to come out on the field. And a great save right there. Again, Colton with the save in Cage, and that's how we will probably end the third quarter of action with the Griffins on top 20-0 as Johnson Wells coming out playing good. As 2 seconds, and we'll take a timeout as he fires it now at the end of play. And Dumpke Field, Griffins on top 20-0.
Griffin goal by number 26, Fraser
Probably
Fisher.
be very tough, I'll be honest with you.
No worries, then I'm just gonna not.
Yeah, sorry, I wish we could
Okay,
help you.
no worries.
If you go too far, get this ground ball, bud. Come on, 11.
Just give me the 5. It's a lot better than that. You did a great job. I give you all the credit. All the credit to you for today's progress.
Go behind you.
He pushed buttons. He tells you what buttons to push, is that what you're trying to tell me? That's exciting too.
Said it all.
Those chicks, like, that's the progress. Alright, next coach. Thanks for enjoying the broadcast.
How's your chance?
Anything but. Dancing with the peacocks.
Came over to his daughter's. Straight ahead from the tournament. He loves
Yeah, Blue. There you go, Blue. Look out. Get back, get back.
Blue shirt. Again, don't forget the Westminster Griffins will be traveling to Adams State, CSU Pueblo, and then 2 trips to Kansas City against Rockhurst before they return back here to the University of Westminster College. As you can see, the 2 head coaches for the visitors of Johnson and Wells, Kurt Olin, the head coach, he's been barking out a lot of orders. I mean, he's doing everything in his power to get his team motivated today. As he's trying his best, and he's yelling out everything, trying to be loud and vocal on the sidelines. You see him there, just kind of, clapping up the good defensive stance his team just saw there with the final 6 minutes and change left to play here in Westminster College on Dumpke Field. It's 23-0 game. Again, it's been going backwards if you are a Johnson and Wells fan, scoring, I should say. 4 goals, 3 goals, 2 goals, 1-1, and hopefully they can try to net one here in the final 6 minutes of action here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Again, a beautiful day. It's been nothing but gorgeous, as again, it's almost like hiking weather, as you're probably going to see a lot of families out probably hiking tomorrow and hiking this evening. As again, the great fans here today, and we hope everyone has a very happy and healthy Easter weekend with their friends, family, and loved ones all around. As we're glad you guys all stopped by and joined us today in the RMAC Network with about 5 minutes left to play here in Salt Lake City, Utah, as the Griffins are going to most likely come away with a victory in today's action, which will move them overall at 4-5, but still no wins in conference play. And again, conference play resumes Friday, April 6th, and we will be back here for the men's lacrosse April 20th when CSU Pueblo comes to town. Long time away till that game will be played here. It's going to be over nearly 2.5 weeks when we'll be back here on the broadcast for men's lacrosse action. As, again, it's been a great season. We'll get the final 3 games of their season right here in Salt Lake City, which will be nice before the conference tournament. Again, don't forget the Final Four tonight. Be a good one. Kansas and Villanova is going to be probably the game of the tournament, some people are saying. And then Sister Jean and the Ramblers of Loyola trying to be the highest seed to ever reach the championship game in the NCAA tournament as an 11 seed. And people were talking about it brings back memories of Butler when Gordon Hayward was there and he missed the half-court shot in and out to lose to Duke. And, of course, Gordon Hayward trying to make his return back for the Boston Celtics after leaving here from Salt Lake City and writing his goodbye to the Jazz Nation, who the Jazz Nation were not too fond of him leaving. But I'm pretty sure after seeing Donovan Mitchell, the way he plays, they're very happy here in Salt Lake City to have him. The shot fired and scored once again for Westminster. Hits the top shelf as the Griffins will have their highest total since winning 22-7 on opening night. So the Griffins get the top goals of the season in today's game. A timeout with 3:29 left to play. We'll take it with it. We're live on the RMAC Network. We'll be back for the final 3:29 here in Salt Lake City. these bigger schools. And it's a great job. I think Johnson Wells, I think if everything can go right, they can build a program the right way with a nice save right there in the goalkeeper for the Wildcats. So 15 seconds left. The Griffins are going to come away with the victory, and we are going to say so long and goodbye from Salt Lake City as the Griffins defeat the Wildcats 24-0. As for the Wildcats, we will wish them the best, and we'll hopefully see them down the road as the Griffins cap off a victory, and they will head on the road for 4 straight beginning April 6th. So we say so long and goodbye, the Griffins defeat the Wildcats. We appreciate you guys stopping by from east to west, north to south, from all the cameramen up here and our producer Devin, everyone down at the scores table. We appreciate everyone who's stopped by and tuned in as we say so long and good night from Salt Lake City. As I'm David Vito signing off until we see you guys next time live from Salt Lake.